Antarctica in summer. After months of darkness, at last the sun has reappeared. Ships can once again travel southwards. They only dare venture into the icy territory during the light season. But winter's rigid icy carapace is not easy to penetrate. Even for icebreakers, voyages into the South Polar Sea are risky. Gigantic icebergs and stormy seas are added dangers. The coastal areas around the sub-Antarctic islands are mostly ice-free. And they're the habitat for Antarctic's surprisingly abundant wildlife. These narrow strips of land serve as fighting arena, marriage market, and breeding ground. The Antarctic continent is enclosed by a huge area of ice. Emperor penguins have no problem with the inhospitable conditions. To the largest of the penguin species, the southernmost continent is their home, their kingdom. To us humans, it consists of tales. Tales of Antarctica from the end of the world. The gateway to Antarctica lies in the far south of Argentina, Tierra del Fuego. The sea is the best connection to the rest of the world. One of the few places that exist here is famous far beyond the country's borders. The resort town of Ushuaia, also known as the end of the world. Tapering off into the foothills of the Andes Mountains is the end of the American continent. Around 60,000 inhabitants make their living mainly from fishing or tourism. The season begins in October, when visitors are lured by the southern hemisphere summer. Not far from the city, it's breeding time for the Magellan penguins. Males and females share hatching duties, going off in turns to find food. Only occasionally can they treat themselves to a little time together. Magellan penguins live on fish, squid and krill, and there's a plentiful supply of all of these in the cold waters off Tierra del Fuego. Ushuaia is famous not only due to the many cruise liners that stop here, but particularly in its role as the gateway to Antarctica. It's the starting point for numerous expeditions. The Kapitan Chlepnikov is getting ready for its next voyage into the South Polar Sea. Provisions are loaded and the last passengers board the vessel. November, the beginning of the local summer, is the best time to set out. The lighthouse, Phare des Éclaireurs, lies around 8 sea miles from Ushuaia. It marks the end of the habitable world for human beings. Animals, on the other hand, are very much at home here, as the waters are teeming with sustenance for them. South American sea lions will often choose small rocky islets as their retreat. They rest and sleep here before starting out for their next fishing foray. The males don't have much downtime as they have to guard and protect their harem. The South American blackish oystercatcher feeds on mussels, which it cracks open with its hard beak. The voyage of discovery goes from the southern tip of the American continent to the South Georgia Islands. The Kapitan Chlebnikov is an icebreaker with special technical equipment, making it well suited for the passage to Antarctica. A special radar system sounds out the ice situation. And its reinforced hull is designed to break through sea ice up to 3 meters thick. Although the conditions don't yet call for this capability, the voyage is still not an easy one. The erratic and often stormy weather here have taught experienced seafarers to have a healthy respect for the sea at between 40 and 60 degrees latitude. They've given it nicknames such as the Roaring 40s, the Furious 50s, and the Shrieking or Screaming 60s. Gulls and other seabirds accompany the ship, defying the challenges of the wild sea. South Georgia lies some 2,000 kilometers east of Tierra del Fuego, part of the sub-Antarctic islands. Other than a British governor and a couple of scientists, the island is uninhabited. Mountains, snow and ice dominate the landscape. At 2,934 meters, Mount Paget is the highest peak. All around the island, more than 160 glaciers flow into the sea. But the coast is ice-free almost all year round. Robust bull kelp, up to 10 meters long, grows in abundance here. It's generally a safe environment for fish, mussels and crabs. Except for when the southern giant petrel is hunting for food. King penguins are the most imposing residents of South Georgia. In the southern hemisphere spring, they gather in the island's bays. First, the males arrive, looking for their breeding place from last year. When they dive into the water, they do it together in groups, a reliable survival strategy to escape predators lurking underwater. King penguins are very sociable and like to hunt together. Their prey is mainly fish and squid. After around 150 dives a day, they must find a place to rest up on the beach. The narrow, ice-free beaches between the glaciers and the sea offer shelter from the wind and weather, not just for penguins, but also for seals and other creatures. A couple of weeks after the males, the females follow and begin to seek out their partner. During the breeding season, king penguins are strictly monogamous. On land, grown penguins have no natural enemies in South Georgia. But not all of them will return from their extensive fishing expeditions in the sea. Orcas and other predators take their toll. Some penguins wait in vain for their partner to return. Their distinctively marked plumage protects them against the cold and wet. The feathers atop the underlying warm, downy layer must be preened and oiled regularly. King penguins aren't the only creatures that live here. In the summer, the beaches of South Georgia are positively bustling. A colony of elephant seals is blocking the way from the breeding ground to the sea. Only the adult males sport the prominent eponymous trunk. These giants can weigh up to 4 tons. Young males don't have much to show in the nose department yet. It takes about 8 years for an olfactory organ to reach a size with which the wearer can make an impression. They learn how to fight early on. And the young elephant seals don't hold back either. Strength, aggressiveness and tactics are all decisive factors in the fight for females and for territory. It's often a matter of life and death. They have to start young. Practice makes perfect. His huge trunk and fighting ability have earned him respect. And he's got what he wanted. The bull has gathered 15 females around him, a respectable-sized harem. They are mostly peaceable and take care of their offspring. This young fellow can still only dream of future conquests. It's good to relax, surrounded by the family. Well, yes, wailing babies are part of it too. The baby seal needs plenty of milk and has to grow quickly. There isn't much time for having fun. Young elephant seals must be able to look after themselves at only 4 weeks. Life still seems carefree, but in just a few weeks it will be time to start out on their long ocean journey. Till then, the young seals quadruple their birth weight to around 150 kilograms. It's vital for them to have a thick layer of fat so they can survive in the icy South Polar Sea. Elephant seals only go ashore during the mating season to rear their young and for their annual molt. The rest of the time is spent in the sea, hunting fish and squid. They stay in the ocean for months until their reproductive instinct drives them to go ashore again. South Georgia is a meeting point for many animals who otherwise spend their lives in the sea. The craggy interior of the island is dominated by glaciers, ice and snow, not a good habitat for flora and fauna. What sparse vegetation there is can mostly be found along the narrow coastal strip. But mosses thrive in the sub-Antarctic's damp, cold climate. Although temperatures in summer rarely climb above 10 degrees centigrade. Countless small streams are fed by rain and glaciers. There's no shortage of water in South Georgia. King penguins seem to like it here. After all, there are around 40,000 of them. They have an unusual delayed breeding cycle of around 14 months. The result is that a colony will contain year-old chicks as well as adults that are still just looking for a partner. In winter, the young penguins stay on land alone and wait for their parents to return after months with food. It's summer, time for them to be raised and fed. After about 14 months, they exchange their fluffy down for waterproof plumage. Only then are they ready to go fishing in the sea themselves. While one family is still raising its young, an adult singleton is on the lookout for a new partner. Once they've found each other, the courtship begins. A ritual always leading to the same outcome. Mating. Not a simple business, but definitely well worth it. The Antarctic fur seal nearby poses no danger. He just has to keep an eye on his females. Fur seals are unperturbed by the bad weather. They spend most of their time in the water. On land, it's all about reproduction. There's often bitter fighting over females and territory. Penguins and fur seals rarely bother each other. Encounters are marked mainly by curiosity. Or mistrust. After careful inspection and risk assessment, they each go on their way. King penguins often breed near Gentoo penguins. Their trumpeting call is distinctive and led to their being known as donkey penguins in German. They also use the short austral summer to rear their young. Their nests are built of stones and grassy padding. And they don't mind pinching from their neighbours either. The eggs are incubated for around 30 days until the chicks hatch. After that, the young typically stay in the nest for another 30 days, kept warm and protected by their parents. The parent birds will have to find over 100 kilograms of krill before their chick is fully grown. They take it in turns to forage. One parent is always left behind to protect their young. Gentoo penguins only breed in regions where there's no snow or ice. In South Georgia, every year they look out their old breeding sites. Good neighbourliness is important as there's limited ice-free space available on the island. And everyone claims their own place. Late November, at the start of the austral summer, is when the young fur seals are born. The baby seals often stay alone for several days while their mothers are off hunting for food. Mothers only come ashore briefly to nurse their pups. Fur seal pups are used to being left on their own. They huddle together for comfort. Now and then a quarrel breaks out between adult seals, but the worst of the bull seal fights are over and territory is already staked out. All in all, the cohabitation of all these different species works pretty well. Fur seals, elephant seals or penguins, in South Georgia there's room for everyone. The reason why so many animals are drawn to South Georgia is its bountiful hunting grounds. The sea here has a wealth of nutrition resources, making the archipelago one of the most popular ports of call in the South Polar Sea. South Georgia lies at the conjunction of the Atlantic Ocean and Antarctica. Heading south, the route passes by the Sandwich Islands to the Antarctic Peninsula, traveling ever farther into the Polar Sea. The weather here is very changeable. Cold winds from the south meet warm air masses from the north. This results in tremendous low-pressure areas. Storms and bad weather are a foregone conclusion. Challenging for any expedition. The first icebergs appear. Gigantic behemoths that have broken off the Antarctic ice sheet and are drifting north. The sea gnaws away at them incessantly, but the water is only a few degrees warm, so it takes years for them to melt. Icebergs often travel thousands of kilometers, driven by the tides and stormy winds. Only 1/7 of their mass sticks out above the surface of the water. The main section underwater is not only much deeper, it's also much wider, very dangerous for shipping. Near the southern Arctic Circle, the sun hardly sets at all. Good for expeditions to the Antarctic. Volcanic islands jut out of the sea, evidence of the massive geological activity under the seabed, where the oceanic plate is sliding under the Antarctic continental plate. The greater part of the southern continent is permanently covered by a massive ice sheet. In summer, only 2% of the continent is free of ice. Most of this ice-free area is in the Antarctic Peninsula. The open, nutrient-rich water lures birds and other marine life to the area. For the Kapitan Khlebnikov, it's just one of many stops. The expeditionary ship moors not far from the coastline. Frequent low-pressure systems make the local climate milder than on the rest of the continent. Lone Gentoo penguins find ice-free spots to go about their business. They're usually not that sociable, preferring close contact only with their partner. If both of them like the look of a place, that will be their nesting site. They only form colonies during the breeding season. This protects the chicks better against attacks from predatory seabirds. The lack of vegetation restricts the choice of building materials for their nests. Basically, there are only small stones. These two are just starting out. But they have managed to agree on a breeding spot. Mating is just taking a little longer. But true love will always find a way. Others are already incubating their eggs. While their partners waddle off down to the sea to go and stock up on food reserves. Here, on its way to the water, they meet some rather excitable Anneliese penguins. Anneliese penguins are the most common Antarctic penguin species and are found everywhere on the continent. They're surprisingly agile walkers on land. Around 2.5 kilometers an hour is quite a pace for their little webbed feet. They often have to walk a long way to get to their hunting grounds in the open sea. Distances of around 50 kilometers are not uncommon. To make their dangerous dive into the water, they usually gather at places where the sea is rough. Diving into the murky water together makes it more difficult for leopard seals that might be lurking, waiting to grab one of them. Like all penguins, on land they appear to be quite clumsy. Their streamlined bodies are best suited to a life in the water. They feed mostly on krill, tiny crustaceans that are abundant in the polar sea. This is the reason why they breed in the millions here on the icy southern continent. The Antarctic Peninsula is still the warmest place. In summer, temperatures can reach above freezing, melting the ice and creating bizarre formations. Sometimes a gigantic table iceberg gets stranded near the coast. It can be stuck for years until it melts enough to be able to continue its odyssey. Only icebreakers dare advance through the pack ice. So for most ships, the Antarctic Peninsula is their last port of call. The extreme icy conditions make it impossible to continue their journey into the South Polar region or through the Weddell Sea. Even in the summer months, the ice prevents any headway being made in many places. Occasionally, the Kapitan Chlebnikov will plow through less obstructed areas. With the ice freezing and melting all the time, conditions change constantly. Seawater freezes at -1.8 degrees centigrade. It forms a pulpy mass of ice crystals that join together to create ice flows. In rough seas, these flows collide with each other and form thick plates. This is called pancake ice. In winter, these flows become deeper and wider, finally forming a 1,000-kilometer wide ice shield around the whole continent. It's only when spring comes and it begins to crack that icebreakers can once again penetrate as far as this. Until then, around 20 million square kilometers of solid ice separates the continent from the rest of the world. The Kapitan Chlebnikov can deal with pack ice several meters thick. But traveling through extensive sheets of ice is risky. A special radar system helps to assess the ice conditions. For all shipping in the Polar Sea, the motto is, the shortest way through the ice is around the ice. Because a detour is still safer than sailing straight through it. But this is not always possible in the Weddell Sea. When the radar can no longer assess the ice flows and the open water in between, they have to resort to a helicopter. On reconnaissance flights, they map out the best path through the icy labyrinth. Even for a robust icebreaker like the Kapitan Chlebnikov, navigating in the Antarctic Ocean is not an easy business. A specially shaped bow and massively reinforced steel cladding protect the hull from the sharp edges of the ice. And powerful engines ensure that the ship has enough propulsion and thrust. At last, the Kapitan Chlebnikov reaches open water again and can make headway. The days are getting longer, which is helpful when plotting a course through the pack ice. The sun is low in the sky, but this far south it rarely sets altogether. The Weddell Sea is famously known as the iceberg factory. Gigantic chunks keep breaking off the ice shelf and drifting north. Along the Antarctic coastline, there are no natural harbors to weigh anchor. The only option is to park in the ice. The ship rams into the ice at maximum speed. Until it's forced to a standstill. In the middle of a blindingly white ice desert, stretching 2,000 kilometers to the south. There's no more hostile environment on Earth. It would seem as if nothing could survive here. The Kapitan Chlebnikov can take a rest. Frozen fast in the ice, it merely waits until the researchers and expedition members are ready for the return voyage. Despite the adverse conditions, this place is home to the emperor penguin. Its hunting grounds are accessed through a hole in the ice. These penguins have caught their fill and are now heading back to their colony. This could be several kilometers from the water, a long trek for short penguin legs. But they have more than one method of locomotion at their disposal. Their smooth, oiled feathers make it easy for them to slide across the icy surface beneath them. Emperor penguin colonies are often very far away from the sea, safe from the melting ice in spring. The icebergs they pass are immobile. Frozen prisoners of the white Antarctic wasteland. This is where they stay until summer finally breaks up the sheet ice, freeing them from their captivity. Wind and weather create bizarre formations. I see sculptures that almost look like they were made by human hands. It's hard to believe that this barren landscape could harbor any life at all. But actually, it's one of the biggest nurseries in the world. This is where emperor penguins raise their young. A risky breeding strategy, but one that generally pays off. In such a desolate area, there are few enemies, and the young can grow up in relative safety. But like any other chicks, they're permanently hungry. So their parents have to bring back loads of food. The Antarctic summer is the best time for this. The days are very long, and the more the pack ice melts, the shorter their way to open water becomes. Tirelessly they tramp backwards and forwards between their colony and the sea. The cold sea is teeming with fish, squid and krill, so the adult penguins can always bring plenty of food back to their young. There are more than 40 colonies in the Antarctic, and year after year, emperor penguins return to the same ones. In the deepest winter, they breed by the thousands and use the short summers to raise their offspring. Now there's food in abundance, and the chicks grow fast. There's pre-digested fish, plenty of it, every day. Their fluffy down plumage give the chicks excellent protection against the cold. The little ones are insatiable, but begging doesn't always work. When the supplies in the parent's stomach have been eaten, they have to set off again to get more food. The chicks often sleep during the long periods their parents are away, waiting for their return. Emperor penguins are the only animals that spend most of their lives in the Antarctic. Their bodies are perfectly adapted to the adverse conditions of the icy continent. It's their plumage above all else that protects them from the cold. A base layer of warm down is covered by a closely growing layer of short feathers. The top feathers are constantly oiled by a secretion from the preen gland, making the penguin's body completely waterproof. They also have a thick layer of fat, which helps them to withstand temperatures of up to -60 degrees centigrade. Loud calls help them to identify partners and offspring. Emperor penguins are the largest of the penguin species. They can reach up to 1.30 meters in height and weigh around 38 kilograms. In winter, they can lose up to 40% of their body weight. Now, during the summer months, they stock up again. When both parents are away at the same time foraging for food, the young gather together in nurseries. They're constantly supervised and guarded by adult birds. Occasionally, danger can threaten in the form of seagulls and giant petrels. They're safer when they're in groups. A lost chick might not be able to find its parents again. If that happens, then the chick will starve. In the safety of the group and looked after by adults, the chicks often go on outings. Here and there, the walking party is joined by others keen on a stroll. In a few weeks, they will grow their proper waterproof penguin plumage. When that happens, they'll be able to go down to the water and begin their lives as young adults. The chicks are always looked after by both parents. It's almost impossible for a single parent to catch enough food to raise a young chick on its own. When the temperature reaches -20 degrees, it gets too warm for the penguins. This results in the colonies spreading out. The families redistribute themselves and form scattered groups. The fishing forays that would take months in the winter now take just a day or so. Towards evening, most of the penguins return to their own colony. There they will spend the short Antarctic summer nights in the safety of their own family. For emperor penguins, this is their home, their retreat. As humans, we wonder about the marvels of this world. Only a few of us ever have access to it and return to tell its tales. Tales of life and death, friendship and family, amid the harshest conditions. Tales of Antarctica, from the end of the world.